I am Asteria Caberte. I am the Assistant Secretary of the Regional Operations Group of the Department of Trade and Industry. We cover 16 regions in the country. And my portfolio includes coordination with the Competitiveness and Innovation Group of the DTI in terms of creatives. We have initiatives. We have started with some initiatives, and we hope to continue uh, more strides because we are looking at a bigger picture now that definitely the creative sector can really do more jobs and cover more people.
Thing, you were a part of DTI Region 7, correct? That was still
Yes,
what
yes.
your
At that time, I
designation.
was then the regional director for Region 7. That is Central Visayas, one of the 16 regions. I'm sorry, I have to give that explanation. One of the 16 regions in the Philippines, that is Central Visayas, and Cebu province is part of that region where Cebu City is, its capital city. Cebu province is, like, I would say, the second biggest province in the country, and it is composed of Cebu City is the capital city of the province of Cebu, and it has a population. Cebu City has a population of a little more than 900,000, maybe at this point a million, and it is part of a mega metro Cebu, which is composed of many other cities like Mandawi City, Lapu-Lapu City, Talisay City, and it is it accounts 20% of the area of Cebu province. That's Metro Cebu. And 60% Metro Cebu, Cebu City, Mandawi City, Lapu-Lapu, and Talisay City is that compose 60% of the total population of the island province. It is Cebu province. Entry point is Mactan Island, where in Lapu-Lapu City. That's where Mactan International Airport is. It is the gateway to the Visayas and even to Mindanao. It is approximately and always an hour away from Metro Manila. So we are an hour away flight from Metro Manila, and so with the other neighboring cities. It is right in the middle of the archipelago, of the Philippine archipelago. Region 7, that is Central Visayas, is composed of four provinces. Four provinces. It is Cebu province. These are Cebu province, Bohol province, Siquijor province, and Negros Oriental. Um, we have in Negros Oriental, I think we have so many cities. I couldn't recall, but they have the biggest number of cities in Negros Oriental. Bohol has one Tagbilaran city, its capital city. Siquijor, there is no city in Siquijor, but in Cebu, I think we have 8 cities, 8 major cities in Cebu province. So that's how we have how Region 7 is configured. But in terms of, I would say, in terms of the creative industry, we have a lot of very good potential, but we don't have yet, as yet, we don't have a city of a designated creative city in the region yet. It's only Cebu City, but there are a lot of initiatives. There are a lot of potential for creatives. We are proud with this story, all of us. Cebu City, right in the middle of central Philippines, is a long strip of island, which is very poor in terms of resources. They only have the hills, the mountains in the middle, and the white sands uh, around the island. So in terms of conversion of raw materials to finished products or any other lines, they don't have that. So they rely on Bohol. for raw materials. They rely on Negros Oriental and Siquijor, and even from Leyte and Samar, from Region 6, from Panay Island. But because of that problem of lack of resources, which can be converted to to finished products, Cebu province is so rich with entrepreneurial capability. Parang pushed against the wall, wala silang mapiga. So entrepreneurs sila. They have a lot of skills to transform, to convert these raw materials into finished products. So we have a Kenneth Cobonpue, for example, in Cebu City. Perfect in terms of raw material manipulation, but these are not coming from Cebu. These are coming from other islands. We have very good designers we have a very good Cebu furniture industry, for example. Home style products from Cebu. And it is so gifted, the terrain, they have a very good port. The Cebu port has 80% of port calls in the country. Yeah, the local shipping lines, the 80% of them take Cebu as a port of call. So yun, ganun si Cebu, ang opportunities in Cebu is so much. And of course, the people, the natural endowments, they have the international airport, they have a Cebu, the seaport, international seaport. Everybody converge for trade and commerce in Cebu, and specifically on Cebu City.
Tell us, Asik, about the difference between Manila and regional cities. So what's the difference when it comes into the role they play in the creative economy? Like how different it is it from Manila cities and regional cities? Do you agree that they get the regional receive less funding, etc.? But what is the difference between the capital city and those other cities?
Well, Mitch, you mentioned that. Even without me saying, we really we have that problem of being given the less resources for the regions. Maybe because Metro Manila is so mega that everything is so easy to put this resource. I mean, they can multiply it in many folds. But you know, the strength of Cebu City, Cebu as an island, Cebuanos, they are strongest in terms of pride of place. Yun ang pinaka. They're so strong on pride of place. Anything. They are so proud of, they have the biggest festival, the Sinulog Festival. They mount the Cebu Design Week, for example. If you were there, you would see how proud Cebuanos are with their skills, what they can show for other places, for other people. Very strong on pride of place. And I think this is that something which pushes them to elevate Cebu, to highlight Cebu to other places, to other proud. They're so proud of themselves, of their skills, of their people.
Well, thinking about Manila versus Cebu, do you think that they have the same breadth, the same spread of creative industries? Because they're both kind of very they're both cities, they're both big cities. Do you think they have the same kind of industries that Manila has, the same variety?
Of course, Metro Manila has like packets of creativity, packets of creative sectors. But because of the huge configuration of Metro Manila, it's difficult. It's a challenge to capture all of this, and it's a bigger challenge to map all of this. Mapping would be a problem. In fact, while we were doing the Cebu nomination, it was a challenge, and it has continued to be a challenge, and it is a work in progress until now. The mapping continues every year, day in, day out. The mapping continues because we would like to like really capture a hold of this creative sector in the place. So Metro Manila, it's really a challenge. But I am sure there are pockets of creative sectors in Metro Manila. But first, before really working on the designation of Cebu City as a creative city of design by UNESCO, we did a thorough preparation also, because we were anticipating that it was like uh, a very volatile job that we will be doing, catching something from the air. But I would like to thank the British Council for giving us the opportunity to travel and benchmark with other existing creative cities like Dundee in Scotland, and we also had a tour, a study tour in the UK, and it helped us really conceptualize, give us a picture of get we got a hold of what is this creative economy. Now, zooming in on Cebu, it was, well, government is an enabler. We can only do so much to enable, and we got pressure from the private sector in terms of in terms of creatives. Yeah. So we worked with them. It was not, although we did the steering function, the Department of Trade and Industry, together with some very active private sector private sector representatives with the industry, and we were able to get through that. And we had to do our own environmental scanning. We had to mapping was a difficult thing from the start, and but then when the word came out that we were doing a mapping with the intention of pushing Cebu City's designation, we had more people coming in to help. That was the best part of our work then, when people came in and volunteered to help. And we have this Cebu grid. We call it the Creative Cebu Grid. It is composed of the private sector, basically the private sector. We have the local government, the city government of Cebu. We also have, of course, among the national government agencies, the DTI. We had the help of the Design Center Philippines, of course, the DOST, TESDA. I hope I wouldn't miss, of course, the Department of Tourism, and from the N++. And very important was the participation of the academy. And it was really a complete grid that pushed us together to move for our common agenda, to get that designation.
I wanted to talk about the data collection, like what, or not just data, what kind of data exists? What do you collect beyond Metro Manila when it comes to the creative economy? And
First,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we really tried to really capture ano yung mga subsectors in the creative sector. And we tried to identify where are they in the scheme of things, where are they in Cebu City, how many of them, how big are they, what are their potentials, how can we converge, how can we network, how can we what are their dreams? I mean, what are their plans? Are they dreaming with us? So it was really a challenge. Like, some were not so interested, maybe because they did not understand what we were trying to do. First is the buy-in. that's very challenging, getting their buy-in. It was really a challenge. First, we started with very few people, and then we brainstorm what we wanted, what we lacked, what we have at that time. And then we called on more people. And then when people started to really understand what we were trying to do, they came. We had weekly meetings for how many months until we made it. And it doesn't stop there. It has to continue. And it's still there right now, the mapping thing.
Yeah. But who is tasked to collect this data? Which offices? Is it regional offices? Is it DTI? Is it city governments? Who are being tasked to collect this? And what is there a baseline? How do you measure the progress of the creative economy at this point?
The action people, when we did that, first, the national government agencies like the DTI, we were right in the middle of the steering function, and the local government of Cebu City, and the industry associations. I shouldn't miss to mention sila Butch Karungay, the key people in the Mari booth, the key people in the Cebu Design Week, the people behind that, the Cebu Furniture Industries Foundation, from the private sector, and the academe, University of San Carlos, University of the Philippines, and we had a lot of design practitioners. The design practitioners, this is very interesting, they came. We didn't know them, and then they came, they participated, and then it just blew out like, it was already, we had the data. And then again, I'm telling you, Mitch, it doesn't stop there. We have a lot of resources, data, and information right now. But in terms of where we are right now, for me, it's so inspiring because we cannot we benchmark on zero because we did not have any before. We did not have really, and in fact, the data that we were trying to get, we benchmarked. So this one is important from our learnings from UK and Dundee, and from Indonesia, from Bandung. We visited these places just to get an idea of how far or how close we were to what is an idea repository of information.
Yeah.
Yung what's ideal. So we benchmark from that. And of course, I would say we have gathered so much, but maybe stalled because of COVID. But my God, the sector right now, COVID doesn't stop the creative sector. Very resilient, very resilient. Very recently, early this year, I think one of the biggest gathering in Cebu. Not really when the alert level was down, was relaxed. It was the Cebu creatives, the first to gather. So I would say the group is really resilient, and the energy is really upbeat.
Do you measure the progress in terms of how many enterprises are being created, or is it how much they are bringing?
How many people are involved?
Okay.
Yes, and when we can, we always get a benchmark from this year up to that recent year in terms of income. Yes, we try to quantify that. How many are they in the sector? We try to really get those information.
So earlier we were talking about the obstacles when it comes to the regions, right? Versus Manila, you have less investment, the infrastructure in terms of communication, right? There's the internet, the connectivity, the roads, etc. Not all of these fall under the responsibility of the DTI, right? But they are, but how effective is the collaboration between the different parts of government in order to deliver the agenda of the creative economy outside the capital?
Yeah, I mean, if we rely on DTI, we can just do it in terms of the limitations, like what can DTI do? But then, because of the private sector pressure, the private sector is there as the pressure point to ask the other national government agencies for this, for the other stakeholders. There is a common aspiration, which is a pressure point
Mhm.
for the enablers to do their job. So slowly we are achieving naman what we want. So like the internet, we talk to the right agency to enable
Who are the
our
other
creativity.
agencies po that participate in the
Yeah.
regional?
I mentioned earlier, we have the DOST, for example. The city government is a very powerful enabler, the city government. And we have the Department of Tourism. We have TESDA for the skills.
Yes.
And I think we have, no, I have a list. So this, yeah.
But is it effective po? Like it's effective the way it's the collaboration between agencies.
Not just for the Cebu grid, Cebu creative grid. Uh, if you have the private sector with a common aspiration, it's really very effective. The enablers, the government sector just have to like deliver that because it's a common aspiration. So we have the Design Center Philippines. Yeah, I mentioned all of the
Okay.
agencies.
So, you know, the creative cities and the capital of culture agenda that comes from the UN and EU models, right? How was it adapting that to the context of the Philippines? And do you think that this presents an opportunity for dialogue um, within the Philippines and beyond the Philippines? So adapting their models, the foreign models to our context. Was it difficult?
I would say so. It's but that yeah, it's quite difficult. But Mitch, the conversation has to continue. That's a very important conversation that should continue. We shouldn't like while we don't rest on our laurels that we have already gotten that designation, but for those who are still aspiring, we would really welcome these models from other countries to be applied, to be adopted in the country. It really helps. It makes us understand how how creatives, how the industry can do so much to provide the common aspiration of creating jobs, value adding, and that is so important to the country.
But was it easy to match in terms of the localization? It was straightforward, or some things didn't quite add up.
Yes, yeah. A lot of things. It was not easy. To connect, to localize, it was not easy. There are contradictions in terms of culture. Um, a lot more. There are sensitivities also. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but then again, we should continue. It
Yeah.
shouldn't stop us from doing the conversation, from continuing the conversation.
Yeah, I find that very, because I did social enterprise in the UK, right? And I find that really it's the cultural sensitivities which really complicate things, because there are ways that we
Yeah.
work which don't really apply, which aren't as frank as like our counterparts in the West. But
Yes.
and then Yusek, last, how important was um that creative city model, and what opportunity did it present in terms of cultural exchange, outsourcing, and trade, that designation of the UK, the UNESCO Creative City?
You know, Mitch, it's not so concrete, but it adds up it adds up to the brand of the place. It really adds up, like Cebu City, a UNESCO designated city of design. For the academe, it adds up to their brand that they are situated in a city of design. Okay. It puts them, the designation puts them on the map. A product coming from Cebu City, a city of design, my brand na yun. So it really, it helps us in reaching further markets. It helps us adding value to the products. And again, it strengthens all the more the pride of place of the Cebuanos. Yes, yeah, that's definite. Very, very. I should say that they are all the more proud of what they have accomplished in terms of the designation.
Perfect. Asik, thank you so much. I'll stop the recording po. Any last words before I stop the recording that you want to tell about your region or being a region? Because we talked a lot about Cebu, but parang the impact within the other regions. Baka last words before I stop recording.
Yeah, Mitch, I am now with the regional operations group. I can see a good number of LGUs who have signified to be like to be a creative city, or maybe not really a creative city, but go for creatives. And we would like to push for that. And the number is growing. We just have to make this a very consistent agenda as far as the DTI lang, as far as the Department of Trade and Industry is concerned. We should continue moving towards creatives.
Can you name other cities lang po that you, aside from Cebu and Baguio, that you think can excel?
We're looking at Bacolod City. Yeah. And maybe Iloilo City. Oh, in Metro Manila, Bacoor is, I think, ready. Maybe it just needs revisiting. Well, Baguio is okay now. Maybe in the farther north, we have Pangasinan, one of the cities there, and down south in Mindanao. I can name a few, but we're zooming in on Bacolod City right now. Okay.